All right, man, peace. So, brothers, quite a few people asked me to speak about Mr. Vontae Davis and how he chose to leave the game of football at halftime while playing with the Buffalo Bills. And when I saw that situation, all I thought to myself is that it's most likely that the brother never really loved football in the first place, and that he's been living a lie for the majority of his life. He probably came from a very disenfranchised environment, and football was his only way out. That's what he was gifted in, but he probably never really loved it. And now he believes that he's at a position in his life where he can leave whenever he wanted to. He probably never truly cared about the culture or most of the guys in the locker room. Most likely because he understood that most of those guys really never cared about him, and the coaches never cared about him. He was just used as an asset, as a means to an end. Of course, people are upset about it because football is a religion. Professional sports is a religion in this society. But when I look at a person like Vontae Davis, he probably was someone who felt like they would not understand anyway. No matter when he chose to leave, they would not understand. Do I think that he did it the right way per se? I think that he could have chosen to do it a better way, especially knowing that he is a part of a team sport, a team paradigm. Even if you don't buy into the quote-unquote family atmosphere or the family aspect of participating in a team sport, there still could have been a better way to do it. He could have played the whole game and then spoke to the coaching staff. But once again, when I see a situation like this, I see a person who was at his wit's end mentally. And he probably said to himself, if I don't leave now, I might have a physical convulsion. There are people like that who they just become so averse to what they're doing. They reach a point where they just can't do it anymore. And if they do it for one more second, they feel like they're going to explode. So anyway, they're going to talk about it and I'm going to chime in.
Since 2 games into the season, Bills cornerback Vontae Davis did something pretty crazy. At halftime of Buffalo's 31-20 loss to the Chargers, the 30-year-old decided to retire right then and there.
Now, I wonder if Vontae Davis was a female professional sports athlete who had chosen to leave their sport at halftime. Would he be covered as somebody who was quote-unquote crazy? Or would he be covered as somebody who may have needed some support and some psychological assistance or psychological help or things of that nature?
Teammate Lorenzo Alexander had this reaction.
You've seen anything like that in your NFL
Never
career?
have seen it ever. Pop Warner, high school.
This dude could be a Roy Jones impersonator. Y'all mother forgot.
College, pros, never heard of it, never seen it. And it's just completely
Tell me this dude don't look just like Roy Jones.
disrespectful.
Pensacola, we won tonight.
To his teammates.
Did he say anything to you? Did he
They
say anybody
He
did?
didn't say nothing to nobody.
You left? When did you find
Yeah,
out?
you
Hell yeah, nigga just left. Even left all his cleats in his locker. Can't believe this shit.
know as much as I know. I found out going in the second half.
Yeah, if you want to know how I found out, I went to the bathroom, pulled down a sheet of toilet paper. There was a note on there from Vontae. He said, I love you guys, but I can't take this shit no more. I'm leaving. I couldn't believe it.
Second half of the game. Coming out, he said he's not coming out, he retired.
And Davis posted a statement on Instagram. It read in part, I meant no disrespect to my teammates and coaches. While I was in the field, I just didn't feel right. I also wondered, do I want to keep sacrificing? And truthfully, I do not. It's more important for me and my family to walk away healthy than to willfully embrace the warrior mentality and limp away till late.
What that translates to me is that the brother never really loved it, and he was waiting for the right moment where he felt like he was financially secure enough to just leave. And to be quite frank with you, the brother has had issues in the past. I remember there was a segment on Hard Knocks where he got cut from the team, or they released him, and it looked like he was about to cry right at that moment. He said he had to call his grandmother. So, I mean, he may be dealing with certain issues, certain psychological issues that he might need support in, and he may not have ever felt comfortable in that environment. There are people like that. There are people who are gifted in ways that don't satisfy them mentally, but they just do it because they're good at it.
For more, let's get you back to First Take.
Vontae Davis calling it a career at halftime of the Bills' loss to the Chargers yesterday. I don't know how I feel.
Look at Damian Woody. Damian looked mad as hell.
How I feel about this, but I'm not the one answering the question. You are. Do you love or hate this?
I hated it. Initially, I laughed because I was like, you know what, the Bills are that awful. You know what I'm saying? The brother couldn't take it no more, he left. And I was laughing about it. And then I saw the video for Lorenzo Alexander, and I said, you know what, he is 1,000% correct.
In other words, you allow another person to influence what you initially thought. And look, we all can allow, and at times should allow, additional information to influence our thoughts. But I think that in a case like this, we kind of have to put ourselves in the place of Vontae Davis. It's what's called empathy, which is an attribute that many people don't have. It's a characteristic that many people don't have. It's very difficult for people to put themselves in another person's situation because most people in this society, and just in general, are self-aggrandizers. They're self-worshippers. So they think that everybody should think how they think, as opposed to saying to themselves, well, let me put myself in this person's situation. Why would they do something like this, knowing that certain things might transpire in the aftermath that could affect them? Maybe they're not balanced mentally. Maybe they're going through something in their personal life. Sometimes you just have to fall back. If I was that person, Alexander, in the post-game press conference, I would have said, you know what? I would have to speak to Vontae to get an understanding as to why the brother did what he did. Am I going to sit back and judge him right now? No, I'm not. I have to speak to him to find out. Sometimes people do not feel comfortable revealing every aspect of themselves because they don't want to appear weak.
That is one of the weakest things that I've ever seen an athlete do. I mean, it might be up there as number one. I mean, to quit during a game, that's bad enough because you could have waited until after the game. Yeah. But then on top of it all, to not even stick around and tell your teammates, to have them find out.
Hell, the man might have started having a panic attack at halftime. Who knows? Happened to Kevin Love.
Find out from coaches and what have you. That's point number 2 that made it bad. And point number 3 that made it even worse. You found the time to explain it on Instagram. So you can go on Instagram and explain it publicly, but you don't take the time to explain it with the teammates. That these are your compatriots. You know what I'm saying? And so when I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, you're writing this message for public consumption so it can be perceived or inhaled in a certain kind of way. But the same thought you put into the note, you could have said to your teammates.
Well, let me say this, Stephen A. Smith. I think that the better point would have been that if he were to go through the proper channels in regards to no longer participating as a professional football player, he should have went to his coaches in the front office after the game. He does not have to explain anything to his teammates. Now, people might say, well, I think that he does because he's a part of a collective. The better point would be if he were to retire at halftime, that might make him more culpable in regards to letting down his teammates. I understand that. But from the angle that I'm looking at it with this brother, it's very obvious to me that he has some type of a psychological issue that he's going through right now. I'm not going to call him crazy per se because I don't know the extent to which he might be dealing with certain issues, or he just might be done, or maybe he was always done and he's just tired of getting shitted on. A lot of these professional athletes, they get shitted on by the coaching staff, by the front office, by the media, by the fans, and it just gets to be too much. Once again, I'm not sure what went on with him. I'm not going to call him weak per se. I just think that, of course, he didn't go about it the best way that he could have. But there's a cause and effect to everything. Sometimes we just analyze the effect without looking at the cause.
First, and the last point is the stuff that you depicted in the Instagram note, the risk that you're taking, the mental and the physical, the strain and the sacrifices. That's exactly what they're on the field doing with you. So I just thought it was.
The difference being that maybe they have a passion for it and he doesn't.
It was real bad on his part, and it's the kind of thing. I don't even think he realized it. It'll stay with him forever. I don't know.
I don't think that he cares, Stephen A. Smith. I don't think that Vontae Davis is going to walk down the street and say to himself, I wonder what these guys in the NFL think about me. There are certain people that once they're gone from the NFL, they stay gone. And you might never know that they were ever in the NFL. I had a brother who commented on one of my videos, and he was talking about one of the basketball topics that I was speaking on in regards to the Philadelphia 76ers of the early 80s. And he was saying that his gym teacher was Andrew Toney. And he was like, oh, wow. And I think it was my video that revealed to him that his former gym teacher actually was the person that he was always telling him that he was, because according to the brother, his gym teacher was telling him that he used to play with the Philadelphia 76ers, that his name was Andrew Toney, and that he used to give it to people. And the brother stated that he and his classmates in the gym class, they never believed him. Point being is this: certain people, they just disappear from the annals of sports history. And unless you're a historian in sports or in other fields or avenues or what have you, people will disappear if you don't study up or if you don't research up. So the same thing could happen to Vontae Davis, and I'm sure that he wouldn't give a damn. It happens. And Andrew Toney, of course, is one of the most dynamic shooting guards of the early 80s. I think he had a broken foot or something like that that ended his career prematurely. But Charles Barkley stated that Andrew Toney was the most talented player that he ever played with. But if you mention Andrew Toney's name today, how many people know who he was? I mean, Andrew Toney was like an even more offensive version of Joe Dumars. He almost single-handedly defeated the Boston Celtics in the 82 playoffs. They called him the Boston Strangler. So just getting back to the point, I don't think that Vontae Davis is going to care if he sinks into some certain level of anonymity. I think that he'll be fine with that.
I don't know any NFL player in all my years as a journalist. I have never come across an NFL player or a professional athlete who would look at something like that happening and ever forget it. Not the guys that I've talked to. And obviously I've talked to everybody.
I think it was hilarious. I love it. I mean, look, the Bills are a terrible organization. You think about Vontae Davis or anyone on that team. Okay.
Max Kellerman, you would love it because you're an agent of chaos. So you like to see that discordian element enter into the NFL at every moment that it can. You think that stuff is funny. Of course you do.
Nathan Peterman's not working out. Well, it's a good thing you kept A.J. McCarron around, because everyone knows Josh Allen is an upside project. Oh, you traded A.J. McCarron for some reason. Right, you traded everyone who could have been a solid veteran quarterback, maybe, or even a respectable, like, NFL-level quarterback. So now you got to start the long-term project right away. So there's that. The optics are funny. I mean, you can take it seriously, but most fans are looking at that laughing. Now,
I don't think that most fans are looking at that laughing. That's your estimation that most fans are looking at that laughing. I'm not quite sure if I agree with that. I think that most people who are level-headed are trying to evaluate the situation exactly in regards to what may have inspired him to do what he did. To me, it's very obvious that it's a serious matter. It's something that may take some level of inquisition to get to the bottom of if people are interested to that degree. But to say that most fans found it funny, I don't think so. I think that there are certain people who may have been perplexed by it to the level of entertainment or to the level of laughter, but no, I don't find anything funny about that.
in terms of the serious part of it, what about responsibility?
Hold on, Max, hold on, because I got to cut you off there. As a player, there's nothing funny about this. There's nothing funny about this. Honestly, I'm sitting here right now, and my blood is boiling right now.
You're damn skippy. I'm mad as hell. First off, I came in here, you asked me to do this segment, and there's no honey buns on the table. You told me there was going to be some breakfast for me this morning. I come here, and now you got me talking about this bullshit. Stephen A. Smith, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at Max. I'm mad at Vontae. I'm mad at the delivery guy because where my honey buns?
Like, I would literally, want to fight this cat. Here it is. Because here's the problem I have.
Well, what you're doing, Damian Woody, is you're verifying why he just left. Because he don't want to have to fight a big 400-pound Professor Clump-looking dude in the locker room because he's having a nervous breakdown and you don't want to understand that.
You've known for a while now that you've been contemplating this. So you should have taken me behind to the coach and be like, you know what, I'm done. But you're going to wait until game day where we're all depending on the next man. Victor, you know this.
Absolutely.
You're only as good as the next guy that you're playing with.
Absolutely. You're only as good as the next guy you're playing with. That's why when I come here every day, and Stephen A. Smith, you ask me to assist you in your segments, I expect honey buns on the table.
And then you gonna pull a punk move and walk out basically while nobody's watching, nobody can see you, and just take your stuff and run? What kind of punk does stuff like that? You just walk out on me. Guys, like we talked about earlier, we depend on each other to make money, to feed our families, and all these type of things.
And then you
to feed our families and feed myself. There's no honey buns here this early in the morning. My stomach, do you hear my stomach, Stephen A?
you walk out, and then you gonna post something on Instagram, on social media.
Yeah,
you can't come at me like a man and tell me, you know what, dog? I can't do it.
How many players are there in the league, Damian? Damian, how many players are there in the league?
Let's go, Victor.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing for me is legacy, right? I play this game for my family. I play this game to have my name be thought of way after I'm done playing this game. Mm-hmm. And as good a career as Vontae Davis has had, he's going to be known as the guy that quit at halftime.
Yeah.
And his family's going to walk around with that tag on them as well. And his teammates are going to look at him like he's the guy that... And furthermore...
Bro, you don't know what his family's going to walk around with. They might be just chilling right now. If Vontae Davis walked down the street, I guarantee you 90% of people would not even know who he is. And he's been the subject of a major storyline over the past week. After about a month or two, he's going to disappear into anonymity. I think he's going to be good with his decision. I'm not saying that I wholeheartedly agree with it, but it's obvious to me that there's more to meet the eye with this whole situation. And I think that people need to be addressing it from the psychological standpoint rather than just from the loyalty or the fidelity standpoint to his team. Because everybody's different. You never know what somebody's going through. And it has become far more commonplace for NFL players to just retire after 3 or 4 years in the NFL. I'm sure, and I guarantee you, that other players who are retiring after 2 or 3 years in the NFL and decide that they're not willing to take that banging and that bruising, they don't announce it to their teammates all the time. Do I believe he did it the right way? No, I do not. But once again, it's very clear that he may be going through some issues, and sometimes we have to have a little bit more empathy to try to put ourselves in somebody's place, at least try to get to the bottom of it before we throw rocks or before we castigate this person all the way.
These young guys that are in this league that are looking at him as an example, as guys that's been there, he's a veteran player in this league,
Out the window.
they're going to think that that's okay to retire at halftime and then post something on Instagram to make up for it all. No, as a player, I'm with you, Woody. If this happened for the Giants while we were playing, there would have been a fight. There would have been an altercation in that locker room. They would have found him somewhere in the parking lot after the game, whatever the case may be.
But he was gone.
There would have been an altercation. He was gone, I understand, but if that had happened and we were there, we were around, other teammates were there, we would have caught him at halftime,
Victor,
there would have been an altercation. That's not the way you want your legacy to be fulfilled as an athlete.
Victor and Damian and Stephen A, for that matter, I don't doubt that players feel that way. There are, like, including practice squads, how many players? 3,000 players in the NFL? There are 300 million people in the country, and it seems to me, from the fans' point of view, it's more hilarious than serious, though from the players' point of view, of course it's serious. But even then, guys, he said it occurred to him in that moment, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, did he handle it right? Do you walk away? Do you not at least wait it out there with your team and tell your coach, I'm done, and then sit there and face the music? But the bottom line is, if you're done, you're done.
Too damn fast say about it, man.
I'm not buying this.
Because you're taking it real serious as players. I'm not a player.
At the end of the game, would you still be salty about it and handle it the exact same way?
I think if he had waited to the end of the game and he went and told the coach or just dressed the guys on the team, I can respect that. At least you made it through.
Finish the job.
You finished the job, but to walk out at halftime.
Hey, Max, if you take your earpiece out right now and walk out, we're going to have some problems, okay?
That's right.
We're going to have some issues because you walking out on us as a team. We are a team here. You walking out on us, we're going to have some issues.
Max Kellerman will say, Victor Cruz, I would love for you to hit me. Come on and attack me. I'll take you to court and sue you for the last $2 that the Giants gave you. I promise you that.
Listen,
But that's from the player's
like I said,
point of view.
wait a minute, Max. We heard you. Here's the deal. I specifically said at the start of my initial reaction, because it's the Buffalo Bills and how atrocious they were. I said that's how the Buffalo Bills can make you feel. And then I said you saw that video from Lorenzo, from what was it? Lorenzo Adams, right? You saw that video and you like this. Yo, this is serious stuff because it's like you walked out in the middle of the game. You walked out because I didn't know that Vontae Davis wasn't there after the game. I thought Coach, I don't have it no more. I don't have it. All right, so we gonna make adjustments and whatever.
He
and you go to the team. I had no idea at the time he had bounced at halftime. I'll go to basketball route. If you remember, Kevin Love suffered some kind of ailment or illness or whatever. What happened with the friction in Cleveland's locker room early in the season? It It wasn't that he was ill. It wasn't that he couldn't come out and play. It was that the players came in after the game was over, and he was gone. Isaiah Thomas, D. Wade, LeBron, and all of these guys, what the hell is up? Why isn't he here? So, and that was after the game. And he had an illness. This dude, Vontae Davis, said, yo,
how's it going to be?
Here,
Look,
disappeared.
How's it going to be remembered in history, right?
That he quit
No, hold on. You answer that in a second. I'm going to answer it first.
It'll be remembered in history as a very weird issue that occurred. Vontae Davis will probably give far more elucidation in regards to what he was thinking at the moment and why he did what he did, and people will get over it. And if you don't get over it, oh well. You have your own life and you have your own problems that you should be tending to, and not be that concerned with Vontae Davis, a millionaire former athlete who decided to make a move at an awkward time. Now, might he have inconvenienced some of his teammates? Yes, but life goes on. I guarantee you that every person in that locker room has inconvenienced somebody else at a certain particular time. The Buffalo Bills do not have Super Bowl aspirations. Everybody has to put their brick in and pick up where somebody else is lacking. That's the bottom line of it.
That maybe the worst franchise in football that's being run as a clown show right now.
Nobody's going to remember that.
Excuse me. One day had a player just say, you know what, I retire at halftime. You think this is going to be remembered as Roberto Duran, no mas, seriously?
Oh, man, you barely remember the Bills a week from now. Nobody thinking about the damn Buffalo Bills. They're going to remember that Vontae Davis quit at halftime.
They're going to remember that this franchise was so ridiculous that a player quit.
I want to ask the players this, because you guys have been...
Nobody's going to remember any of that bullshit.
You guys have been in a locker room and you both obviously retired. You plan your retirement, right? Like, this wasn't just some impulsive decision. He had to be thinking about it.
That's not true. That's you trying to put your thoughts into his head. Once again, and Molly's supposed to be the so-called female on the set. One would think that she would have more empathy. But as we know, when it comes to most of these feminist females today, empathy is supposed to be a one-way street. They can sit on television and tell men how to be men and what's not manly. But when it comes to the female, everyone is just supposed to tolerate and be understanding of their whimsicality. Very interesting.
I always say, Bill Parcells used to say, like, the minute you have an inkling that, like, the game is not, you're not fully vested in, it's time to get out. It's time to go. So he's had this, trust me, he's had these thoughts now for a while. Yep. And he just took the worst opportunity to react.
For the guys that are sacrificing out there with him, he took the worst route.
I'm going to crystallize it for everybody.
These guys kill me. Talk about the guys that are sacrificing like they're in Iraq or some shit. You guys are playing professional football for millions of dollars a year. Get over it. Give me a fucking break.
Everybody, and Damian and Victor can answer and tell me if I'm lying. If Vontae Davis, not Vontae, I was going to say Vontae, if Vontae Davis walked around any NFL player right now, pick any network you can find, pick any locker room you can find, if he showed his face today, despite the fact that he could ball and he's had a good career and his skill set was respected, watch how they look at him. And you might have cats that will look at, some people in the Buffalo Bills locker room might want to put their hands on him. Other cats are looking at...
Yeah, well, I have news for you, Stephen A. Smith and Victor Cruz and Damian Woody and all the tough guys that talk about how they want to put hands on somebody because they didn't do what they wanted them to do, how they want them to do it. You better be very, very careful. You better tread lightly in life, especially with somebody who might be dealing with psychological issues. You might get far more than what you bargained for.
Looking at him with little to no respect for him right now for one reason and one reason only. He walked out on us in the middle of the game. Am I lying?
Yeah, not at all. And that's zero respect. And if he walked into any locker room, that's the stigma that's going to be hanging over him. We're going to be looking at him like...
I guarantee you, Vontae Davis is not going to walk into any locker rooms. That guy's going to go off somewhere. He's probably going to join some Pentecostal church and start jumping up and down and speaking in tongues or some other shit. I guarantee you, this brother's dealing with certain issues that he has to overcome his way. But when I saw that segment where he got cut from a team, I think it was the Cleveland Browns, and he told the coach right away he had to call his grandmother. He looked like he was about to cry. He looked like a dude who had been raised around a bunch of female energy, and he had learned how to deal with problems a certain way.
Why you want to be here with us? You just quit on your last team. And you know, in football, there's twofold, right? Either the game chooses to be done with you or you're done with the game. In my case, the game chose to be done with me, so I had to make a choice. But in other scenarios, when you choose to be done with the game, you have that angle to do it the right way. And he chose the absolute worst possible way.
But you brought him up as a player. I'm telling you right now, if he came around as an analyst, they would look at him like, why are you talking?
No shot.
What you got to say? What do you have to say about us?
And his legacy.
Am I lying, Damien?
Is there any way to justify it, Damien? If you found out like he was meeting with coaches, he was in offices, he was complaining, no one was listening to him, he was so frustrated with the organization, he had been vocal with his team, would you be okay with it then?
Hell.
Who gives a fuck what he's okay with? At the end of the day, it's about if Vontae Davis is okay with it. If you're somebody who's lived life long enough, you've been inconvenienced by other people. You have to learn to get over it. Especially if the person who may have infracted upon you in some way or who inconvenienced you in some way is not apologetic or is not aware that you may have been offended. You have to grow and move on. And hope that that person, that brother Vontae Davis, can come to terms with whatever it was that he had an issue with within his own life. Once again, for a man to do that, it's very obvious to me that he's dealing with a psychological or spiritual issue.
Hell no. No. There's nothing.
Hell no. Never in hell can I get over that shit. Just like Stephen A., never in hell can I get over the fact that there's no Honey Buns up in the office today. No Honey Buns, no donuts, no orange juice, no blueberry muffins. There ain't shit up in here.
There's no excuse. You a grown man.
Made me talk for 10 minutes with no food in my belly.
Finish the game. Mm-hmm. Finish the game.
And if you have a problem, you go to your coach afterwards and have that discussion, but not
the specific word. The word to be illuminated above all else is halftime. Mm-hmm. Halftime.
Yeah. That's what makes
not
it so
before
hilarious.
the game, not after the game. Halftime.
Right.
You quit at halftime.
Right. He said it half. His team is so bad and he was done. He said...
Stephen A. Smith, you got me mad again. You said half. I thought you were talking about a half stack of pancakes. I'm so mad right now.
He said at the half, take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more, and walked out. Of course, the players are going to take it seriously. It's messed up. Lots of fans are laughing today.
Max, you can laugh at it. You can laugh at it, but as a former player, that's no laughing matter to me.
Of course, as a player,
there would have been an altercation, Max. If that happened,
these hands would have been thrown.
Any locker room, that was a...
Damien Woody said these hands would have been thrown. Oh man, Damien he hit you with a hell of a 1-2 before he run out of oxygen. You a traitor to your teammates, motherfucker. Come over here. Oh shit! You know, wait till I catch my chicken win. I'll tell him I'll whoop your ass.
I was a part of, or imagine quitting on a guy like Brandon Jacobs in the locker. Like, there's no excuse for any of that. Like, there's zero excuse.
All right, we got to leave it there, guys.
But anyway, that's it on Mr. Vontae Davis. Hopefully he can come to terms with whatever it is that he's dealing with in his life. So peace.